Nobody can force me to say something I don't want to. Armed Louisville store owner explains why he refused to bow down to Black Lives Matter mob when they demanded he repeat Black Lives Matter. Bravo, man. Fadi Faouri justified his actions and his refusal to say Black Lives Matter during a Fox News interview on Monday. You will not come to me, demand that I bend the knee. I won't do it. I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. This guy said just that. This story's crazy. Let's read, and I'll tell you what's going on. A Louisville store owner who was filmed in a tense confrontation with Black Lives Matter protesters who tried to get him to say Black Lives Matter has defended his refusal in a Fox interview. Footage of the incident shared on Twitter shows a small crowd of BLM rioters grilling business owner Fadi Faouri as he stood outside his store holding a rifle. A group of Black Lives Matter protesters could be seen demanding he voice his support for the movement during a third night of Breonna Taylor demonstrations in the city. Here you can see the photo. He's just standing here. He's in front of his store. A group of Black Lives Matter protesters were filmed confronting the store owner, Fadi Faouri, as he defended his business among another night of unrest on Friday. Here we can see him. It looks like he's wearing a bulletproof vest of some sort. And it looks like he's actually got a thin blue line badge. I'm not entirely sure. On Monday night, Faouri spoke with Fox News' Tucker Carlson to explain his actions. Quote, "Why would you not just say what the mob wanted you to say? Why did you resist?" Quote, "The answer to that question is because no one can force me to do something that I don't want to do. It's just for the simple fact, like I'm a free man, you know? That's the simple answer to it." Yes, absolutely. You almost got me swearing, but I'll just say yes. This is America. You can be a liberal. You can be a progressive. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be a communist. And no one can come to you and threaten you and tell you what you have to do. Or I should say, they can try. And in America, no matter what political ideology you have, bring it on. Try me. And this dude said no, plain and simple. Faouri, who was born and raised in Jordan, but has lived in the United States for 24 years, further qualified his remarks. "Nobody can intimidate me, basically. It's that simple. They basically tried to force me to say Black Lives Matter or her name, Breonna Taylor. And I was like, I'm not going to do it, whether they like it or not." Faouri confirmed that he has received plenty of support as a result of what happened. Good for him. I've been given support from all over the country, and I've been getting hundreds and hundreds of phone calls, messages from all over. I believe that there's a video of me, and they got attention from everybody, even from the local news, surprisingly. Now everybody wants to do an interview with me. During the tense encounter with protesters, the group can be seen ganging up on Faouri for several minutes as they challenge his views on the BLM movement and the police shooting of Taylor after he refuses to say he supports the cause. The exchange kicks off after a man asks Faouri, "Do Black Lives Matter?" To which he replies, "If you're a good person, I will care about you. If you're a bad person," before shrugging. The man then asks him if Breonna Taylor matters. Faouri hesitates for a few seconds before responding, "Does it matter? I don't know." That's kind of crazy to me. You know why? If you come to me and you say, "Tim, do Black Lives Matter?" You know my response is going to be to you? Yes. Anything else? Oh, does Breonna Taylor's life matter? Yes. Did you want me to say something different? I don't understand. It's not hard. The problem we have is with the violence. Of course, look, there are probably some really bad people that celebrate death. Most people don't. Most people don't want anybody dying. So I'm sad to hear about Breonna Taylor. It's a complicated, complex situation. And I'm sad that anybody loses their life. Do Black Lives Matter? You bet they do. That should be implied. Nobody should even have to say it, but I understand why you think you do. Why you feel you do. I can respect that. The organization? Nah, I'm not all about that. Sorry, no. I got no problem. I'm not going to play games. I understand what they're saying. If someone came up to me and said, "Does insert races lives matter?" But of course they do, dude. I don't care. You can say white, you can say Asian, you can say Latino, Hispanic, you can say black. You can say whichever one of those phrases. I'm going to be like, dude, life matters. It does. You have a specific cause? I hear you. There were people in France, they threw a banner that said white lives matter. Of course they do. Like, why should that even be a question? It's ridiculous to me that the media attacks people who would say look, if you've got a group of people that are concerned about their, ethnic group or whatever, we'll talk about it. If they're not going out and threatening anybody else, I got no issue. If you think you're under threat, I'll talk to you about it. I disagree with these people in France putting up those banners because I don't think they're at risk as much as certain minority communities. But I think many of the Black Lives Matter activists are the ones causing the problems in the first place. That's what I'm complaining about for the most part. When white Antifa people go to black neighborhoods, start fires and burn things down, that's not like white supremacists and cops attacking minority communities. That's you, dude. That's you causing the problem. I think ultimately we just got to end the hate. If this dude wants to stand out in front of his business, I'll be like, and I'll mind my own business. I'm not going to force someone to espouse some kind of ideology. That's dumb. But he said, this guy says he doesn't know. And I can respect that too. You know why? Should he know? Should everyone know what I know? I don't think so. The conversation turned tense after a woman comes into frame, questioning his response, and more members of the crowd start urging Fowry to explain what he means. Are you trying to intimidate me? I'm not playing that game, Fowry says, as he explains that he's trying to protect his business. An argument then ensues as the group starts to close in on the store owner and continue to demand he say whether or not he believes in their cause. A person in the background can be heard shouting, "We don't want your business." Fowry turns his attention to the initial male protester, telling him he will not be forced to say anything. He doesn't believe nobody can intimidate me. Bravo, good sir. The two parties continue to argue for several seconds, but Fowry remains defiant in his refusal to engage in their debate, and the protesters eventually disperse, with the exception of one woman. This is a tweet from George Ventura Media. A building that was being leased by Fadi Fowry, a small business owner, was firebombed around 1 a.m. during last night's unlawful assembly, declared by LMPD. Investigation is underway. This is back on the 25th, mind you. The woman who claimed to be a documentary filmmaker approaches Fowry and criticizes him for his stance, or lack thereof, as she lectures him over the injustice surrounding Breonna Taylor's death. That's not my effing business, Fowry replies. It should be your business because all lives matter, right? The woman says as she starts to debate Fowry on racial disparities. You can say that, but it's the color black that is the issue, she adds. You have an issue with that? I don't have an issue. Fowry says in response, I don't care. White or black, BS. I see you as a human being. That's all I care about. The debate finally comes to an end after a fellow protester urges the woman to leave the area. One of Fowry's buildings was later firebombed during the protest. It is not known if protesters specifically targeted the building. Come on, man. Is it a coincidence? Maybe. I kind of think it was intentional. I kind of think they went after this guy. You know why? Because the New York Times already reported it. They showed up to someone's house who had an American flag and said, take the flag down or we will burn your house down. So this guy stands up to him and says, no, what do? Somebody goes and burns down one of his buildings. I'm not surprised, man. This is how terrorism works. So they want to talk about peaceful protests. And this is what I say. If you're part of a movement that has a terrorist wing that goes around burning down people's livelihoods and their homes, and then you show up and say, but I'm just the peaceful protester. Now bend the knee or else. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're not a peaceful protester. And if you're just somebody who marches along with them while they have terrorists doing these things, I'm sorry, man. Look, I respect peaceful protests, but as I've explained before, if somebody's robbing a bank and you're standing around in front of him and it's making it very difficult for the cops to do anything about it, then you're part of, you're essentially an accomplice. Look, there are difficult questions to ask here. You know, if somebody wants to march around saying, I don't believe in violence, but I believe in this cause, well, I can respect that. But at what point do we say you have to realize what they're doing in your name, right? I guess they don't, or at least they don't care. I remember I met a communist, a dude with the sickle and hammer, and he denounced Antifa right to my face. And I said, like, he was giving out communist books. And he was like, these guys who are getting all violent, that's bad. That's not communism. And I was like, right on, brother. I don't care what you believe, as long as you agree to let people live in peace and have their rights. So what happens if you're a peaceful protester? You know the groups are going around doing this. It's been 110 plus days. What excuse do you have right now if you're going to march with these people when they're going around and threatening immigrants? It's an immigrant, okay? Right? You care about immigrants? No, they don't. Because they say only one color matters right now. They say Black Lives Matter. And this activist specifically said it is about, the color black is the issue. What about Latinos? What about Asians? What about poor people? You think only your race matters. That's what they're basically saying. And that's the challenge. When people say all lives matter, the left says, why are you ignoring the plight of the black community? Who says they are? Maybe what they're trying to say is, we want to talk about the plight of all communities. And some probably have it better than others, for sure. I don't care all that much about people, going around saying all lives matter. I'm not going to play games. If someone comes to me and says Black Lives Matter, I'll be like, you bet, 100%. Fist bump. That's right. Because they do. I'm not going to play any games. I'm not going to take some tribal stance. I don't care. You want to say it? Fine. You want to talk about some Marxist ideology? I'm going to say, nah, I'm not down with that. You want to say Breonna Taylor? You want to see George Floyd? You want to say Eric Garner? You want to say Mike Brown? All those names, I'll be like, none of those people should be dead. It's tragedy. Straight up. 100%. We can talk about it. They might get mad at me when I tell them the truth and say some of these people were resisting or fighting. I still don't think they should have died. That's a fact. But I think there's other people whose lives matter too. There was a white dude. Cops knock on his door. He walks out. He's got his gun. They shot him in the back twice. Killed him. There's other people, and their stories matter too. So when someone says all lives matter to me, I'll be like, yep, right on. Fist bump right there. Because both can be true. You're allowed to focus on your community. But I don't like it when people say that's the issue and it's their cause. Because I know people of other races who have their causes too. I know people who are Asian and Latino and they're experiencing problems. I'm not going to ignore them. And I'm not going to pretend like only your cause is the most important. I'll tell you your life matters. I'll help you if you want to fight injustice. But I'll also help other people if they want to fight injustice other places. But I'll tell you one thing you can't do. You can't come to me and you can't threaten me. That's it. Plain and simple. This guy, Fadi, he said the same thing. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. I hope you enjoyed the debates tonight, and I will see you all then.